Good evening. Time for another session of Cooking with Coobs. This is session 2, episode 3. And tonight I'm going to do a delicious beef stew. It was one of our favorites when we were young. My mom was a super chef and she could do beef stew like nobody else. I've got some nice shin today. My mom always used to use chuck, but in those days you could get big chunks of chuck. That's the shoulder muscle of the cow, and there are no bones in it. It's actually a beautiful big piece. Nowadays they tend to slice it up like chops or something. Anyway, this was 60 rand a kilo. I've got a half a kilo and I'll cut this into tiny pieces. I'll leave the bones in because bones always add to the flavour with the marrow and so on. I'm doing about 2-inch cubes. Oil in my pan. About 2 tablespoons. Crack it up to about 8 so it browns nicely. Secret is not to put too much in at a time, otherwise you'll get a stew in your pan and not a nicely brown bit of beef. Around in my seasoned flour. In the seasoned flour, I've got about 2 tablespoons of ordinary flour with a little cumin, a little smoked paprika, salt and pepper. It's a nice, not overly spiced, but it gives us a nice flavour. A little big, make it slightly smaller. Now I've got a nice stew of cube meat. I'll brown this for about 2-3 minutes, take it out, and then I'm going to brown some of my veggies. The rest I add later because they don't take as long to cook. Yeah, I remember my mom standing in front of the stove. She and Auntie Grace would sit in the kitchen, at the kitchen table on Sunday mornings, carefully preparing all the things, the vegetables, cutting the pumpkin, peeling the potatoes and carrots and dicing them, cubing them, shelling peas in the old days, with their cigarettes in their mouths and a long cigarette ash, 2 inches long, hanging out. Long time ago. Sunday was a big lunch. That should be hot enough now. To test if it's hot enough, sprinkle a little flour in. Sizzle slightly. This is a chopped up onion, about a half an onion. I'll just do my garlic still. Put a little salt on the garlic to absorb all the juices. And chop that quite finely. See, this green one is the leek. That is a little bit of turnip. I like a bit of turnip, gives it a peppery flavour. These are all finely chopped. I'll go into my sauce now. Yeah, have a look at that. Let's see how it's browning. Very nicely. That's all you need, just to seal the juices in. Take it out with my slotted spoon. Put it back on the heat. The sun's over the yard arm. Almost 6 o'clock. I think it's time for a little glass of red wine. In fact, I'll have a slightly bigger glass because I'm going to put some in the food too. Good drop of the dry red. Cheers. Not a bad thing. That's enough. I have to burn it. Have a look at that. and quite nicely. That's ready to put in later. And now I'm going to put this onto the heat, turn it down a little, do it like 5. I'm going to put in all these ingredients over here, just to brown and to soak into the sauce. You have to be careful, I'll put the garlic in as well. You don't want the garlic to burn. Finely chopped tomatoes. There we go. Give this a little stir. Just soak up the flavours. Smelling quite good actually. Add my can of tomatoes. Mix that in. And I'm going to add some of my precious red wine, probably about 1/4 cup. They say the wine you put in your food should always be good enough to drink. And if this is good enough for me, it's good enough for my food. These corningware dishes are quite amazing. You can put them in the oven, you can put them in the microwave. You just can't put them on the stove top, else they'll crack. You don't take the heat from the hob. Very nice. And meanwhile, I shall put this meat in casserole. I think this is done sufficiently now. It's sizzling away quite merrily. Add that. Better not scrape the Teflon with a steel spoon. There we go. Put the juice out of that. I can just rinse that dry. Quite good. Ready to add my stock. I have a cupful of beef stock that I put on the side somewhere. Oh, here we go. Give it a stir. This is actually a beef stock cube. I didn't have any beef stock from cooking. Now this looks quite thick. It's going to be cooking for a long time, and I'll still be adding potatoes and so on. And it'll just give it a nice flavour. Now, into a preheated oven at about 160 for an hour. Close it up so that it can sizzle quite nicely. Put it sort of in the middle of the oven. As you will see, it's still cold. And leave that to go happen. Cheers. I think it's almost time. I'm going to start chopping my potatoes and the other half of my turnip. Oh, how's that for timing? That's my hour up. Oh, it's bubbling away a lot better. Phew, look at that, eh? Can you see that? Looking pretty good, I would say. Half the turnip. There we go. This is flaming hot. You have to be careful you don't burn yourself. Right, back in the oven. I set the timer for half an hour. Hey, all ready. Whip it out. Oh, going along a lot better. Okay, and all this. Clive. Oh, just as well I didn't have any more ingredients, because that pot is full, smelling good. Put a little Worcester sauce in, always improves the flavour. Tomato paste, tomato sauce. I like to put a little chutney in. Some people put brown sugar, but I think a little chutney or a little apricot jam would be better. That's apricot jam. Just to add a touch of sweetness to it. And a dot of good old Mrs. Bull's. That's it. Right, and then some liquid and back into the oven for the last half an hour, then we can eat. Well, I hope those carrots cook in half an hour. Back into the oven, still at 140 for another half an hour, and then you can eat. The beep has just gone. Another half hour up and the food should be cooked. Let's have a look. Oh, it's hot. Oh, wow, look at that. Phew. Serving it with light, fluffy rice. Little of this lovely stew. Well, that looks pretty good. And I think that concludes our proceedings for the evening. So, until we meet again next week, this is Cooking with Coobs saying, cheerio.
Eliza with the sparkling eyes. Oh, I love Eliza and she's really nice.
Clive.